Okay guys, I might be really copium for this take, but I do think that the hunt category is just kind of washed now, and that includes Zila too. Now this video will go into like the hunt class being power crept and stuff like that, but I will have another video coming out on the channel talking about just power creep in general in Honkai style role, because I do feel like power creep in this game is pretty prevalent. I think we do see it a lot with the DPS, right? Each DPS has been better than the last. Barring Jingyuan, let's just talk about him right now. But yes, just about every DPS we've gotten has been just a little bit better than that last unit, or does just a little bit more. So I guess I want to start the topic off today with talking about the destruction class first. The destruction class is absolutely cracked. I don't know what the destruction class was supposed to be, but it is just so much better than the hunt class all around. But just to give you guys some perspective on this, for our hunt class we have Shushang, we have Danheng, we have Yangqing, and we also have Zila. Zila obviously being the best. We don't have very many characters for the hunt class right now, and I think that is a big reason on why classes like destruction or even Inil are power creeping them. I mean, look at the amount of characters we have in each of these classes here. It's just an insane amount compared to this. And on top of this, Danheng was a free-to-play 4-star unit that we got in the game. Like, he's okay if you can get him up to E6. Like, he can work, right? He's definitely not the best out there. Chushang is okay if you get her E1 or her Eidolons up. But, I mean, overall, she's just okay. Yangqing as well. Yangqing can be great, but he has a lot of prerequisites before he can actually be great and do a lot of damage. He has to be shielded at all times. He has a specific team he needs to be on. And then Zila as well. I'm not going to leave Zila out. Zila does a massive damage, but the problem with Zila is that you need her to kill. If she is not killing the enemies, I do know mine's copium, but I mean, even on your account maybe, right? If she is not killing the enemy, she is not doing, she's just not that good, honestly. You need her to kill enemies to get her resurgence. That's the main thing of her kit, is resurgence to get extra turns. If you're not killing, then you're not getting that. Whereas if you look at something like destruction, right, which is the main comparison I want to make here. We'll talk about the Inhility class here in a second, but destruction, right? We have so many characters in here that can get to like Zila's level of damage, if not more, with so much less to give, right? They can just do so much less and get there. Let's talk about Danny, right? Danny does take 3 skill points of rotation, but the point is that he gets more damage out than Zila's resurgence in those 3 skill points in one big burst. You don't have to rely on killing the enemy. All you have to rely on with him is just having basically your skill points up. Same thing with Clara, right? Clara can do absolutely massive damage. If you're facing like a physical type enemy and she just keeps countering them, she does absolutely massive damage as well. Blade is on the lower end of the spectrum, obviously. Like, the big thing about Blade, right, is he's very tanky. He's practically unkillable if you give him enough effect resistance. He is just super cracked, and on top of this, he's doing damage based off of his max HP, so his damage is really big too. I wouldn't say it's as big as Zila's damage, maybe in the multi-target round, but his damage is absolutely huge, and his survivability is a lot more than Zila's as well. And then finally, Jingliu. Like, come on, she is just cracked out the ass. Like, you use 2 skill points, you enter transcendent states, she's doing like 70-80k damage with 3 skill points. She's getting her action advance forward. You use your ultimate, you're doing like 100k damage in that state. It's just insane the amount of like value that this class brings. Even Hook, we just recently did a Hook build guide and she's hitting, you know, 50, 60, 70k on her skill attacks. Like, the destruction class overall just seems like a better hunt class. Hunt class is specifically made for single target damage, and it is bad when you have this destruction class doing more damage than any of the hunt type characters in single target. This is their main shtick, is not getting attacked and doing massive single target damage. And this class does it better with more damage and more survivability and extra things added to the table, aka, you know, Clara's follow-up attacks. That's really good. She gives herself damage resistance. Danny Ilk, I mean, Danny here, he's just an absolute DPS monster. Then you have Blade, which is, you know, self-sustaining. We already talked about this. I'm not going to go back in much further into detail of this. But yeah, you get what I mean. This class overall, even Arlon, is a really good single target damage dealer. You just have to build him up right. Same with any of the hunt. I would say he is closer to being on par with some of these other hunt type characters than they are, right? I think that everyone here kind of outclasses just about everyone here, barring, you know, maybe Hook. You can make an argument for Hook and Arlon not being there, but I think overall all the 5 stars here in the destruction class are better than the 5 stars here. Maybe Kalar's not, but you know what I mean. Now, let's talk about Inhility, because Inhility is also a really interesting class too. The Inhility class can provide really big single target and AoE damage depending on the character you use, right? I'm not going to talk about Silverwolf. You know, Silverwolf's break damage is absolutely huge. We're not going to talk about her too much. Pela as well. Pela just, you know, brings defense down. I guess my main point here is going to be Kafka versus everyone else over there. I think Kafka's just a fiend, you know, even if you have dots or not on the enemies, she just absolutely destroys. She has follow-up attacks that put shock on enemies. She does an ultimate that puts shock on all enemies and can kill them all and make them proc off their dots again. Then you have characters like Welt. Welt can be a DPS type character. I've seen this guy in my Discord hit for like 300k with this man against Fantilia. And then I kind of want to talk about Sampo and Luca. I think Mr. Katsuki Sampo here is a better version, or just better, plain out better, than the 4-star Dan Heng. I just feel like this Danny right here, little soy boy, I feel like Sampo just does a much better job, because first of all, Sampo is breaking enemy shield a lot faster, though I won't say he's doing as much single target DPS. He does a decent amount of AoE damage. He absolutely destroys the wind type shield, which I think is honestly more important than what he does. He gets, you know, one big attack every 2 or 3 turns, whereas with Mr. Katsuki Sampo, you can get it just about every single turn, barring you use a skill or not. And on top of this, he's enabling your other dot characters to do more damage, coming from his ult, obviously. Then we have Luca. I wouldn't say Luca is better than Chushong. I would say they're pretty similar to being on par with Chushong, just for the fact that, you know, his whole thing is bleeds. He needs to break the enemy shield. She also wants to break the enemy shield. When you break the enemy shield with him, he inflicts bleed, then he can reproc that bleed, which is the best dot in the game. This is just pretty good. I mean, you're getting stacks up to get his, you know, enhanced basic attack, yada 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 blah. And on top of this, he does offer some extra utility, which makes an enemy receive 16% extra damage for 3 turns with his ultimate. So I mean, he does offer more utility than Chushong. And that's kind of all I have to say really about the Inhility class. So after a few weeks, letting Topaz and Numbi come out, and letting Gwenifin come out as well, and just seeing what the Hunt class looks like now after that Topaz and Numbi are in the game, I didn't feel like it was a fair analysis to give it without them being in the game already. But now, since they're here and I have both of these characters, I can give, I think, a pretty good like breakdown of what I think about these classes now. So let's just go ahead and talk about where I think the Hunt class stands now. I think Topaz and Numbi are great. I don't think they're on the level of any destruction character. I don't think they're on the level of even QQ. I think QQ is still one of the best DPS in the game. I still think the Hunt class overall is better than the Erudition class right now. I think all of these characters on here do outperform their counterparts on the Erudition class, so I do think overall this is better. But I don't think that the Hunt class is better than the Destruction class. I still think that just about all characters in the Destruction class are better than the Hunt class still. And where I think the Hunt class stands right now, I think that the Hunt class is really just going to be here for like a placeholder class. Like, if they're not going to be as good or as strong as a Destruction class character, they throw them down here. Or another theory on this, I think that maybe the Hunt class is, you know, where their main focus is single target damage. I feel like that they could just put characters down there that do sub DPS damage, that are good for sub DPS numbers, and just use the Destruction characters for the main carries on teams, because I think where we stand at in the game right now, that's just the case. I think we can rely on just about every Destruction character coming to the game just to be insanely strong, and I think the Hunt class is going to be here for just focusing on that single target damage and focusing on getting that single target down, whereas, you know, the Destruction does some AoE damage. I think if the Hunt class can perform better at just doing single target attacks and like help out with the Destruction type characters, help the team be more SP efficient while providing a really good amount of damage, I think that would be fine for the Hunt class. I don't think the Hunt class needs to be better than the Destruction class. I think as shitty as it may sound, right, where the Destruction class is just so good right now, I think that the Hunt class is fine maybe slotting into that sub DPS role. I think Zila could be decent as a sub DPS role. I think that she could fit into that, right? I don't think that, you know, hyper carry needs to be the full main focus of every single team now. I think that's what Topaz and Numbi brings to the game, is not having to run that. And I think that they're kind of putting that message out there that the Hunt class is not going to be the best class in the game. I just don't think that's going to be the case. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on this? Do you think that the Hunt class has just been power crept so hard? Or do you think there's going to be a change of how they actually use these characters and utilize the new characters they're adding to the game, where, you know, Destruction is like the DPS character for your account, and Hunt class is, you know, your single target sub DPS. I think that that's what the Hunt class ultimately is being relegated to. I mean, we'll figure out. We had some knowledge today talking about, as of recording this video, of Mr. Ratio coming out. So maybe he'll be good for the Hunt class. He's imaginary. I don't know. But hopefully he's going to be good. I think that they're going to be a sub DPS role. I think that's the main focus of this. We'll have to also see Argenti coming out, because I think Erudition's also going to be like a sub DPS for AoE damage, and Destruction is just the main DPS, right? Anyways, gamers, that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm really curious to see what you guys think. If you think this is copium or not copium, I don't know. Like, right now I think Zealot's kind of washed as like a main DPS role. Yangqing is a main DPS role. I just think the damage explosion and the damage power creep that Destruction has brought really just kind of makes them feel sub DPS. Anyways, that's all I have to say for today. Anyways, gamers, bye. See you later. Bye-bye.